Hello, good morning, everyone. It's Vicky Onifolaji. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to Vicky Show. Not the Nigerian one, but today is for becoming unstoppable. I've got a great guest that will be joining me shortly. I can't wait to have a chat with this beautiful, lovely woman. I just would like you to meet her and listen to her and listen to her story of adversity to achievement and what she's currently doing as a coach, not just an ordinary coach, a coach that impact that keeps impacting people's lives. And she's in a beautiful place that I would love to visit anytime. As soon as the COVID ends, we're able to travel, I would love to visit where she's at the moment. She lives in Bali. We wouldn't like to be in Bali. I would love to be in Bali right now, but that's where she is. So I will be introducing her to you shortly. But before she comes on the line, um, I would like to appreciate our sponsors. The first one is Capstone Medical Center, Bensdale, a wonderful group of doctors doing great and mighty things in that community, East Gippsland community. They are wonderful. They are helping a lot of people. So just check them out as I play their infomercial. Check them out. So that is Capstone Medical Center. Check them out, 51527135. I would also like to appreciate our other sponsor, Eminent Design. They're based in Aylesbury in United Kingdom. They are focusing on using African fabrics to make beautiful styles, beautiful dresses, cocktail dresses, even bags, face mask, journal cover. They are wonderful. Just check them out. Sarah, you are welcome.
Hello, thank
How are
you.
you?
I'm excited to be here.
Oh, thank you. Not usually where I usually do my program at. I'm in my other office, and it's not set up for it. So we have lots and lots of issues with IT. So I'm just trying to make do with what I have. So please bear with me, okay? How are you doing?
I'm really good, thank you,
Yeah,
lovely, and excited to
of
be
course,
here.
you're in Bali. So why won't you be good?
Exactly.
It's cold and it's raining right now here where I am. So I hope you're enjoying Bali for me.
Yes, it's very beautiful. It did rain a little bit here yesterday, but generally very blessed. It's usually always very beautiful.
Wow. So you're welcome to Vicky O Show, Becoming Unstoppable. Every
Yes.
one of us wants to be unstoppable. We work hard to be unstoppable. And I will be talking to you shortly about what you've been doing to become unstoppable. But before we get to that, I would like you to tell our viewers out there who Sarah is. Who are
Who's
you?
Sarah?
A beautiful. I actually went on your page yesterday and I checked you out. I'm, oh, what a beautiful girl you are.
Thank
So, can you
you.
please tell us a little bit about you? Who are you really?
Of course, thank you so much. So, I am Sarah Joanne Pickering. That's where you can find me on socials as well. And I am a spiritual self-love coach for women that really do want to transform their lives, right? And I, as aside from that, obviously, I am living in Bali. I have created an unstoppable life and continue to thrive and move forward with that and have a lot of fun. I believe in having a lot of fun and living a fulfilled life. You know, we've only got one. I want to look back. I want to go to the, my end of my days and think, wow, I freaking did that. Like, oh my God, I'm so proud and I've got so many stories to share to my future children, my future grandchildren, and all of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You talked about being a spiritual self love coach. What does that mean? I believe in having,
Mm,
I believe that it is a fantastic thing to do. Even the Bible says, love your neighbor as yourself, which means you love yourself first before you actually love other people. You need to know how to love yourself before you can love other people. So
yes.
I am a fan of patting myself on the back when I've done something great, no matter how little. I pat myself on the back. I used to go buy shoes because I'm a shoe queen. I love shoes. Actually, I've got like over 600 pairs, right? When everything is, when after
Amazing.
I reward myself with shoes. When I graduate, I reward myself with shoes. When I had a baby, I reward myself with shoes. That is me. What I love, I just pour into it. I'm so much into
Mm,
self love. Because if you don't love you, it's there's no need because you won't be able to love other people. You won't be able to, and even if you try to, you push into yourself to the back. So there will be a point when you start feeling a little bit disgruntled with life.
yes.
So tell us what it means to
Um,
you. I mean, what does it mean? Spiritual self-love coach for women.
yes. So I love that. Thank you for sharing as well, like what you do for your self-love and your explanation, right? So I do believe wholeheartedly in self-love because you're not able to pour from an empty cup, right? So to fill ourselves up first. And I always use the tagline like, we want to fly, right? We want to fly, and fly stands for first love yourself. So really get into like when you say, who is Sarah? Like I've really got to know myself and I really enable my clients to really get to know themselves as well, because ultimately we have the answers within for what brings us fulfillment, what brings us joy, what brings us excitement. And it's going to be different to what everybody else's is because of our conditioning, our experiences, what we've attached pain slash pleasure to. So really understanding what our personality profiling is like, what our love languages are, everything that's entwined with who we really are from within. And ultimately, I do the spiritual side from like a manifesting perspective as well, because I'm very into trusting my intuition. So what comes under that self-love umbrella, a huge part of it is self-trust, right? And trusting that intuition, trusting that guidance, trusting the universe and what destiny is that we're creating, you know, but also surrendering to the journey. And so the spiritual side is really having that relationship with yourself and the universe as well. And then the self-love side is having the relationship with yourself, so that then you can have incredible relationships with everybody else, because your energy is magnetic. Your energy is coming from a place of love instead of lack. And that really is felt, you know, that's really felt with people. I always say that energy does not lie. Energy does not lie. And we have these instincts, we have this intuition. And when we learn to trust it and really get in tune with ourselves, like we know in our soul that we are enough. We know in our soul that we are worthy. We know in our soul that we are lovable. But the ego or the conditioning or the experiences that we've been through tell us otherwise, right? So I used to hate myself, and then I went on this journey to loving myself, and my soul knows that now. And I think one of my biggest missions in life is to help women wake up to that.
I love what you said there, that you used to hate yourself. So it's been a journey for you. Are you able to just
Yeah.
go back there? And, because there are so many women out there, not just women, because of the kind of work that I do. I see all sorts of people, men, women,
Yeah.
older, younger, that struggles with, being able
Yes.
to love themselves based on what they've been told over the years, based on people that they mostly respected saying something negative to them, and they hang on to all this, and that kind of mold them to be who they are right now, and they are not able to be this person that actually embraces the good, the bad, the beautiful, the everything within them. So you too, you've gone through
Yeah.
a journey, long journey, and are you able to just tell us your story, where you were, what was
Of
the
course. Yeah.
the last straw for you, and what made you, and then when you start this journey of loving yourself to the point that you are now coaching other people to be able to do that. So there are so many
Yeah.
questions in all that. So
Definitely. Thank you for asking. Okay, so my journey began obviously throughout my journey, right? So the things that I used to struggle with was I started drinking from a very young age, so early teenager, and it was consistent. And the drinking was actually consistently blacking out as well. So I didn't remember anything. And it was to escape myself, right? I didn't want to think. I didn't want to feel. I wanted to numb. So I started drinking from a very young age and blacking out. I also was a love addict as well. So I would jump from relationship to relationship, always expecting them to love me, but it was never enough. So I would sabotage, I would destruct. And the thing is that none of the relationships were successful because I didn't love myself, you know. And then I was also jumping from, I was on the outside, I was really, really happy to everybody else. I was really confident. I was traveling the world, but really what I was doing, I was running away. I was running away from myself, trying to find this happiness that I always thought was outside of myself. I was chasing, what I thought would make me happy. And then I'd get there and be like, but I'm still not. And I don't understand why, And I would jump from job to job as well. I had like 50 different jobs before being a coach. So I was really unfulfilled in my career life. I didn't know what I was meant to do, what I was here for. And so because of all of that, it was all of that brought together that I was deeply depressed, but I didn't feel like I could tell anyone because I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want to be rejected. I didn't want people to look at me differently. And so I kept it to myself, and I just kept suppressing my emotions and really feeling really, really depressed. And it just got to breaking point where I was ready to give up on life. Like, I never would have because of my family, but I didn't want to be here anymore. I couldn't understand what life was about, why I was why I was doing the things that I was doing, why I was always sabotaging myself and destructing. I was drinking, distracting, and destructing. That was my pattern. And it just got to the point where I was so deeply depressed, I was ready for giving up. But then that's when I found coaching. So I discovered my first coach, and since then I've worked with multiple coaches internationally, all around the world, with different areas, with self-love, with business, with empowerment, with confidence, with manifesting. Like, I've worked with so many coaches. And through that experience, I learned what worked, what didn't. I learned the step-by-step process of what took me from hating myself, from being a love addict to being, happily single, for me to go from being completely unfulfilled to owning my own business and living in Bali, from me going from consistently drinking and blacking out to being able to have fun and have drinks, but have it from a conscious place, not an unconscious place, So, and then for me to go from my belief systems and being completely depressed to being completely fulfilled because I'm meeting my 6 core human needs. I'm meeting, my self-love level in a phenomenal way. And I get to teach other women how to do it too. And I do focus working on with women, because that's what I enjoy the most, because it's the relatability. And I believe that by helping women, that will overflow into men and into relationships as well. So I believe it will help the collective. And it's what I really, really enjoy and what I'm really passionate about. So to go from that to this, where I am now, there's no way I couldn't share it. Of course I had to become a coach. Of course I had to, be able to step into this role for other people so that they come along for the journey with me.
Definitely, definitely. Wow, what a journey! What a journey!
Yes.
Now, listening to
Thank you.
it reminds me of a client of mine that I worked with a while back. That, okay, you talked about self-sabotaging. You talked about drinking till you black out. You talked
Yes.
about, you know, eventually getting to the point that you had to do something
Yeah.
because of the fact that you were totally depressed and all of that. But it reminded me of a client of mine. And I worked with him for a little while, and he was a very successful man, but didn't see himself as being successful. And being a businessman, he did well. But with the story that he told me, he kept on sabotaging himself. As soon as it got
Yes.
to a point that if I'm not supposed to have all this, why did I have all this? He will go and do something that will say everything is worked so hard for. And he
Yeah.
eventually came to me, and I started working with him. But I realized that there was something deeper there. Eventually, one day in a session, he said to me, so I asked him a question about his grandparents, about his parents, about his family, because I needed to get to the bottom of what was going on for him. So I told him to tell
Yeah.
me grandparents, the one that he spent most of his time with. That was when he said to me that when he was around 7 years old, his grandma, he broke grandma's favorite teacup. Grandma brought the teacup from UK a long time ago. So it was a teacup that meant a lot to this grandma. So he was playing around with stuff and then eat the teacup. And the grandma was so angry with him. and grandma made some verbalized things that she wasn't supposed to have said to him. In her anger, she said to this little boy, a 7-year-old little boy, that you are so clumsy, you will never amount to anything. Such a stupid boy. In her anger, she was angry and all that. And this little boy hanged onto those negative words. And every point in his
Mm.
life, I got married, the wife was, loved him really well. He had a baby girl, and then it was like, I'm not supposed to have this good life. Why am I having all these good things happen to me? Then he went ahead
Yeah.
and had an affair. Wife got to know,
Mm.
forgave. Business was going well, and then he started gambling. He just had to do something to jeopardize all these good things happening for him. Now, in your work, in your own journey, I mean, when I now say to him, there's a link, can you see the link here? For me, being an outsider, I can see what's going on for you. Can you see that was what grandma said that kept on? It was more like eh, those words are turned to be your ghost chasing you all over the place. As soon as you can see that things are going well, the ghost
Mm.
appears and say, to be okay. You're not supposed to be rich. You're not supposed to be happy. You're not supposed to be comfortable. You're not supposed to be good. You're not supposed to remember you are the boy that is not supposed to amount to anything. Those negative words kept playing
Mm.
on. So
Yes.
I made see what I could see, and it was like, Vicky, wow, yes, yes, yes. It was just like turning a light on in the back. It was,
Yeah.
oh, and that was his own time to be free of
Yeah.
the ghost. Grandma, who
Mm.
died 4 that she said those words. Now, for you,
Yeah.
were you able to find the main thing that got you to the point whereby you started drinking at a young age and are looking for fulfillment in others, in men? Were you able to find those hidden things that kept pushing you to do these things against yourself?
Yeah. 100%. And I'm so happy that you shared that because I hear, it's part of our shadow, right? It's our shadow side that comes out. It's our ego with our negative limiting belief and our patterns in our subconscious, right? It all comes back to our subconscious mind, which controls 95% of what we do, what we think, and who we are. So that's what I help my clients transform with. And this is why actually I do, the NLP, which is the neuro linguistic programming, to reframe the subconscious mind, but also the timeline therapy, because that takes us back to the times in our past, in our childhood, and then going forward our teenage years and early 20s, and therefore to pinpoint the times of where you picked up these beliefs, of where you started to create them as your own. Because I always use the analogy, like, you don't come out of the womb saying that you're not good enough, or saying that you're not worthy, or saying that you're not lovable, or saying that you're too old, you're too young, all these different shitty beliefs, right? We don't come out of the womb saying that. So they've been created from somewhere. So for me, it wasn't necessarily one particular event, but it was a build up of different events of what I saw and what I experienced. And so that's why I love working with the NLP and the timeline therapy, because it takes us back into those times so that we can recreate the story. We can clear up if there's anything that has held us back. We can clear up the narrative that's replaying in our mind consistently. And so moving forward, I also love to really understand why it is that we think these things, where they have stemmed from, and using a lot of forgiveness for anybody that has passed those thoughts or beliefs on to us, because if they knew better, they would do better as well, right? Like they would have had thoughts passed on and beliefs passed on. They would have had behavior patterns and habits, and it would have all been stemmed. So I love, love, love being able to share with people that there's no one to blame. There's no situation to blame. We come back from a place of love, and we first love ourselves, but love others in all the glory as well, even for the shadow and the light, because everybody's doing the best with what they've got. If they knew better, they would do better.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well
Yeah.
done. Well done. It's been a journey.
Thank you.
And coaches do have niches. They choose an area that they focus on. You've chosen to work
Yeah.
with women. You to choose to be a coach, self-love coach for women.
Yes. And it's because it's what I needed. You know, I coach everything on what I wish I had when I was deeply depressed. I coach about the 6 core human needs because that teaches us about why we are either anxious, depressed, unfulfilled. And if we can resourcefully meet our needs in a beautiful way, then we can be in joy, excitement, and fulfilled. But you've got to know what the 6 core human needs are. You've got to know how you're meeting your needs in your life, because we all have the same ones, but we meet them in different ways. It's why people have the relationships that they have, whether they are good or whether they are toxic or whether they are just plateauing. It's also why people do have addiction.
I think Sarah's a little, yeah, she's frozen. Probably somebody was trying to call on the other side. Um, so, yeah, that is Sarah, our spiritual self-love coach who resides in Bali, holiday destination for everyone, a beautiful place. That's where she works from, and she's able to connect with anyone around the world to provide coaching, self-love coaching for them. As we all know that ability to love oneself, it's something that most people do struggle with. And if you ask anyone, no matter how wonderful they appear now, they do suffer from loving themselves. Even I listened to Oprah Winfrey a while back, who was talking about there was a time when she couldn't find herself um, loving herself because she struggled with her weight, with how she saw herself at that point, and she had to go and speak to someone, speak to a counselor, a therapist, a psychologist. And she now have coaches that kept being on her case, just kept her to be, to be watching out whenever she start seeing that, herself thinking that way. Always she gets herself back to, working on whatever needed to be worked on. And as women, we do get to that point from time to time. We get overwhelmed with work, with children, with cleaning the house, with cooking, with extended family members, that, being overwhelmed, we're always chasing after everybody else. And then we ignore who we are. We ignore how we can, work on ourselves to be the best that we've been created to be. So you're welcome back, Sarah.
Yeah, it kicks me off. All good.
Yeah, fantastic. Sometimes when someone calls, it just breaks the connection. And yes, so
All
yeah.
good.
So you've been working with women, and how long have you been doing this for?
I'm 3 years now. Yeah. So on and off. For the first 2 years, I could not for the life of me figure out the business. I was wanting to share my message and wanting to help people and wanting to change lives. And I'd built up the skills and the know-how. And I lived and breathed it. I embodied it, it became part of me. But for the first 2 years, I could not figure out business. So I was in and out of it and in and out back into different careers and things. But I started the business back up full time a year ago now and haven't looked back. It's been a phenomenal journey, and I'm so grateful for all the clients that I get to work with and help transform.
Wow. So you started just after the COVID, just after COVID.
Yes.
You started full time. And how's that for you?
Yes. Yes. If anything, it was really beautiful because we found, obviously, as much as the external circumstances for the world wasn't necessarily positive for everybody, and I send my love to anybody that struggled through this period, right? But there was there's always something positive that I feel like comes from everything, and anything that is in the shadow, there's always things that we can learn or grow through, And what I found was that people actually had to slow down and spend time with themselves. And that's where people realize if they weren't happy, And so that's where potentially I came in and I could really help them begin the journey to understanding themselves, to not feeling lost or confused, not feeling self-hate, not having the negative thought patterns, not having the things that play out that you just like on a hamster wheel, and you're just aimlessly Groundhog Day doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So I found that it was a beautiful blessing for people to wake up and realize they couldn't keep going the way that they were going. Otherwise, they would either get to the end of their life and regret, or they wouldn't have a life worth living, So that's what ended up coming out of it, coming out of the pandemic, is that people actually had the time and the energy to really get to know themselves and realize if they were happy or not, And so that's where I come in for the people that weren't.
See, Wayne Dyer, Dr. Wayne Dyer, God bless his soul.
Yes.
He quote that I love the most, that I use in my therapy when I speak to clients from time to time. And the quote says that don't die with your music still inside of you. We all, we all have books, we all have things that we need to get to and get done. But it's like we're in our own way, focusing on what I've been said to us, focusing on our own limiting beliefs. I try to live my life with no regret, which means I get because I hate to get to the end and I'm like, oh, I haven't done that. I wanted to do this, and oh my goodness, the time is gone and I can't do it now. It's like usually, and it's Les Brown that actually created a picture for Wayne Dyer's that quote. I'm not sure if you've listened to Les Brown describing it. It said, it's like, imagine you being on your deathbed and there are goals of things that you haven't done all around. I came to you. I actually came to you. I needed you to get this done. And the next one is to you. And I'm a visual person, and with Les Brown, like that, like, okay, I get an idea to write a book. I'm like, okay, I'm getting it done. So if I had to go and lock myself up somewhere for 3-4 days, for 2 weeks, then I've got to get this done. Because if I don't do it at the end and there are ghosts there chasing me, I would like that.
That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah, so I believe that, and especially during the COVID came in, it was quite unexpected. No one ever expected it, that you will be asked to stay at home, will pay you your full wage.
Yeah.
Here Even if you don't have a job, they give you some money for being at home.
Yeah.
Nobody would expect that would ever happen, but it happened. It happened in 20, and because that
Mm-hmm.
happened, so many people that called me, even though that period in my life was the most horrendous, because of grief and all that. But for
Yeah.
those that didn't, I was going through, and they were able to say, "Oh, Vicky, I'm really struggling," and blah blah blah. I was able to say to them, "Use this. This is an opportunity for you to do those things that you've been planning to do for so long. You want to write a
Yeah.
book. You want to write a book. It's not difficult. Dedicate 2 hours a day in a day and write 2 pages." So I showed them in terms of, okay, if you write these 2 pages by the end of this time, you'll be able, because here in Melbourne, we were in lockdown for 144 days.
Yes.
So 144 days, for me, I would have written 3, 4 books easily.
Mm. Yeah.
Okay, for newbies and those people that don't know what they're doing, it can be done. You can get it
Yeah.
done. Or
It can be done.
you're depressed, you can have someone that you talk to regularly, just to be able
Yeah.
to get to the bottom of whatever may be going on. Use it as an opportunity. Stop seeing it as a problem. And that,
Yes. 100%.
yeah, that was where I came in, and with those people that I was able to talk to. So now moving forward, what are the goals and plans for the future for you? You are now over a year into running your own business, working for yourself. Before I even go to that question, I want to ask you, what is the difference between you working for yourself now and when you used to work for other people? What are the
Great question.
Hmm.
Yeah, I love that. I think the biggest thing is that I have purpose, right? I feel in alignment with what my sole purpose is. And that's actually something that I can help clients with as well, is people spend, sometimes years agonizing on over who they're meant to be and what they're meant to do. And I'm like, I can jump on one call and figure that out, because if you don't know, who knows, right? We all know what our sole purpose is. Deep down, we all know, but there's those blocks around the belief system again, around, well, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I don't have the skills, the know-how, maybe I'm too young, I'm too old, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, right? And it's like, it's all not true. They're all fear, false evidence appearing real. And it's our job to break through that. But first, the first step to self-love is self-awareness. It's having the awareness to see where your blocks and your beliefs are. And that's where coaches come in, right? Like I use the analogy that even the best brain surgeon wouldn't do brain surgery on themselves, right? So sometimes it's having somebody outside of us, that when you're standing inside the jar and you're trying to read the label on the outside, of course you're not necessarily always going to be able to see. So you have somebody outside of you helping you to navigate within yourself, because you have the answers, you have the key to be able to unlock yourself to the path that you truly desire and everything that's waiting for you on the other side, right? So moving forward with my mission is really to empower as many women as I can to really see the magic that they have inside of them, for them to really have a life that they're truly proud of, to have a life that they're inspired by, to wake up and be excited, to think, I get to have everything I want, because to think anything other is really limiting ourselves, right? Like, I do truly believe anything is possible. So my mission moving forward is to help inspire as many women as I can, which will overflow into the collective as a whole, for me, for you, for us to really transform from the inside out. And so from maybe a more of a materialistic point of view and a tangible view of what I want to create is when the pandemic does, blow over and we move through it, like I want to be able to, well, I will be having retreats so that people can come and have some, personable experiences. I will be creating a whole new brand as well. I'll be writing books. I will be running seminars. I will be really going towards creating experiences that people have never necessarily experienced before, because I entwine the self-love and the manifesting, because I believe one without the other is still shit, pretty much. Like you can love yourself, but if you don't have that security, or you don't have the things that you want, or you don't have the people that you desire, or the experiences you desire, it's still not great, right? And then if you can manifest but you have no self-love, you'll end up sabotaging it all anyway. So I've been on both sides of that coin, and I believe that having a beautiful mix between the two is where you do find ultimate joy. And so that's what I teach, and that's what I will continue to move forward with as well, along with lots of fun, other exciting things that I won't share too soon.
Fantastic. So there is a plan, there is a goal moving forward to grow this
Yeah.
to not one-on-one, but more of retreats, working with women and getting them to where they've been created to be in terms of knowing who they are, dealing with those stumbling blocks
Yeah.
on their way, and being free to be able to live like,
Mm.
loving life, enjoying ourselves, and just enjoying life. Life with
Yeah.
no regret. And
100%.
I
Yeah.
so much love. So, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts regarding collaborating with other coaches?
And what was my thoughts with what? Can you repeat?
Regarding collaborating with other coaches, do
Ah,
you?
right. Okay, got you. What are my thoughts about it? I love collaborating with other coaches. I've got a lot of friends in the coaching space. Like I connect a lot with so many coaches because we're so aligned, right? And I have coaches. I have 3 coaches myself for different areas because I am wholeheartedly committed to my growth journey. And so collaborating with other coaches is something that I naturally do anyway.
Fantastic. So, to women out there listening or will be listening later, because we do have
Mm.
lots, due to time zones, it's nighttime for some people at the moment, it's middle of the night for some people, and they do replay this and watch our
Yeah.
program. For lots of women out there that are watching right now, or maybe watching this later on, what would be your advice to them in terms of self?
Mm.
Where should they
Yeah.
start from?
I love that. So my first thing is, so I have like the self-love umbrella. So there's lots of different elements that go underneath that umbrella. And the first one I believe is the self-awareness, because when we get aware of exactly what we desire, what does an ideal life look like for you? If you had all of the time, energy, money, resources, skill set, knowledge, wisdom, confidence, and self-love, what would your life look like? If anything was possible, what would your life look like? And then if you already had that, then what would your life look like? What would be your goals? What would you love to manifest? What would be amazing for you? So get awareness around that, because otherwise people are aimlessly almost like flying around in a plane with no destination, and then wonder why they're not happy. Because if you fly around in a plane long enough, eventually it will crash, right? If you've not got a destination.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we've got to know where we're wanting to go, at least, so that we can tap into our reticular activating system as well, which is part of our brain, which allows us to move forward into the place that we actually desire. So first step is self-awareness of that, but then also to be aware of, well, what are the blocks? What's stopping me from doing that? What's holding me back? What's missing? And then as you ask yourself these questions, what comes to the surface is all our bullshit, right? All of the things that we've created in our mind as being blocks. But really, there are no excuses. There is nothing that can hold you back. You may believe it, and that's why you will, but truly, if you ask yourself, my clients included, is to ask questions of, rather than I can't do that, or I don't know how to do that, or I couldn't do that, is how could I? How could I? And brainstorm. Allow your brain to actually brainstorm. How could you? You know, if I really wanted to love myself, how could I? You know, I could take care of myself more. I could look after my body. I always say, like, exercise is for the body, personal development is for the mind, self-love is for the soul. And so we want to nurture all of those. So when we ask more empowering questions, we get better answers, rather than saying I can't, say I can, and how can I, you know? So really the first step I would say is self-awareness. And another two top tips that I always say is, like, love yourself like you would your daughter as well, especially for women. Like, love yourself as if you would your daughter, and watch the languages of what you speak. Notice and pay attention, have the awareness around what your patterns are, what your language is, how you're speaking to yourself on a regular basis. Start journaling on that so that you can start to change it. And then also to ask yourself, well, what would my 80-year-old version of me say? What would the 80-year-old version of me say? Because she does not care about the little trivial things that keep us stuck. We've got to be aware that our ego is at play, and our brain with our ego isn't designed to make us happy. It's designed to keep us safe. So to keep us safe, we usually like to stick in what's familiar and what's comfortable, but nothing grows in our comfort zone. So we've got to break free of that, and we've got to get used to being comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? We've got to get used to, you know, moving through fear, because on the other side of that is everything that you deeply desire. And to expect to have a different life without changing anything is what Einstein says, right? He says to do the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result is insanity. And that's how I felt, you know. I felt like I was crazy because I kept doing the same thing over and over again and expecting to be happy, and I just wasn't. And we've got to be aware that it's a must change things. And the only way that people will actually change is if it's a must, if they have a big enough why to change. And the majority of the population don't. But if you do choose to get into personal development, you do choose to start to change your life, you will be in the top 3% or 1% of people in the world. Because most people won't do it, because it's so much easier to play victim, to blame circumstances, to blame others, to blame themselves. But personal power takes courage, and not many people are actually up for that, you know. It takes real courage to admit that you are not where you want to be, and to start to change that. It takes real courage, and I admire anybody that is willing to go on that journey. Because it's not all rainbows and unicorns. It is a challenge, but I believe truly in my heart space it's so worth it.
Wow. That's so great, Sarah. So if anyone out there wants to connect with you, to work with you, how can they connect, or, you know?
Yes.
What do they
So
need to
they would find me on my socials. I usually say connect with me on Instagram or Facebook or both. I am under Sarah Joanne Pickering, and I'm a real person, right? I am attainable. Like, you can reach out to me, you can message me, you can ask questions. And the thing is, I'm open to receiving that, because I want to be able to help as many souls as I can in this world. I think we've only got one, although I also believe in past lives and, you know, the future lives as well. But in this lifetime, in this particular journey that you've decided to go on, that we have only got the one, and we might as well make the best of it, because that 80-year-old version of us, or even older, she's either going to be regretting, or she's going to be thinking, wow, you know, Wow. And I want to be the 80-year-old version that is telling the stories to my children and my grandchildren of the incredible adventures and the adversity that I faced head on with confidence and self love, and all of my manifestations that I brought into fruition, and to teach them that miracles can happen. And we are walking, talking miracles here and
Mm.
now.
Fantastic. Wow. Thank you so much, Sarah, for all your wise words beyond your age. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank
Um,
you.
there are two things that I would love to invite you to. I would like you to present an article on self-love to a magazine called the Global Achievers Magazine. It's a monthly
Amazing.
that goes all over the world. We have over 32,000 readers every single month. So I would love for you to present an article. So wherever you can whip up will be great. Um, Add
Amazing.
your bio and a lovely picture of you looking takeaway. And we would love to publish you in the magazine. The second thing I would love to invite you to, there is a private group called Pales with Vicky. It's my group, and it's a group that it's kind of selective. You know, it's not just anybody that is in that group. It's only women that are in that group.
Yes.
We have over 1,300 members in the group, and I'm thinking of doing a session whereby there will be a group of speakers speaking on self-love, and I would like to invite you to be one of the speakers.
Amazing. Thank you. That's super beautiful, and very beautiful of you to ask. And I would love, love, love to be part of it. Thank you for that.
Be great. So as soon as we get it all organized and we have the date set, I will be informing you. So just bear that in
Amazing.
two things.
Beautiful. Oh, so exciting. More juice to come.
Of, of course, us looking after one another and just getting others to that place where they feel comfortable in their own skin.
Yes.
If we can do to help, yes, let's do it. So I will definitely.
Amazing.
So I want to appreciate you for coming on to my show today. It's
Thank
been a
you.
wonderful time, and I would love to have you back soon.
Amazing. Thank you so much. You're amazing. And this has been beautiful. And I'm so excited to connect with anybody that chooses to follow and connect with me too. Like, let's change the world one of us at a time, one person at a time in a beautiful way, and live from our heart and soul.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you so much, Sarah. You
Amazing.
have a day. I will catch up with you soon.
Amazing.
Take care.
Thank you so much. Bye.
So, to all our viewers out there, thank you so much for catching up with us today and listening to Sarah Joanne Pickles and listening to our story. What a wonderful story! And I hope you pick one or two things out of what she shared with us today. Remember, self-love is key to living a fulfilled life. And you need to first of all start with having, to be self-aware of what the ideal life looks like and what you need to do to be able to get that ideal life. What does your ideal life looks like? Check that out. Be aware of that first, and also be aware of what is stopping you from having the ideal life. So if you want to work with Sarah, just send us an email and we will connect you with Sarah anytime, any day. So our email address is the Global Achievers Club at gmail.com. It's been wonderful having you watching us today. We want to appreciate you. Thank you and thank you. Until next Wednesday, when we bring you another guest speaker that will be sharing another wonderful topic with you. We'll hope to you join us. We'll hope to have you back. Thank you for joining us, and you stay blessed. Bye bye.